Located in Northumberland, Pennsylvania, the Joseph Priestley House was the American home of 18th century British theologian, philosopher, educator, and political theorist Joseph Priestley. Best known for his discovery of oxygen in 1774, Priestley lived most of his life in England, where he became an outspoken proponent of Unitarianism in the American and French Revolutions. He and his wife Mary, who designed this house, immigrated to Pennsylvania in 1794 in search of religious and political freedom, as well as the financial means to pursue Priestley's scientific interests. He lived here from 1798 until his death in 1804. The Joseph Priestley House and Laboratory is an important historic site that preserves and interprets his contributions to American history.
Welcome to my home. I'm Elizabeth Ryland Priestley. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law, Mary Priestley, who designed this beautiful Georgian-style home, did not live to see its finish. She died in 1796, just a brief time before this beautiful structure was completed, but I have been enjoying it since 1798 when I moved in with my two children, my oldest son, Joseph, at 5 years old, and my dearest little Eliza, who was just an infant when we moved in here. Why don't you join me upstairs in the hallway as I tend to some of my domestic matters and where I would have taught and spent a lot of time with my children. In the hallway here, we have a picture of my mother-in-law, Mary Wilkinson Priestley, and Joseph Priestley, my father-in-law. This picture is upon their marriage in 1762. Mary's family were ironmongers, and she came from a very affluent background when she married Joseph Priestley, who was a minister. If you notice my dresser out here in the hallway, it is because I would store some of my belongings out here that I didn't place into my bedroom or my day room, and I would always keep it locked because I didn't want anyone to go through it. But the main purpose of being out here in the hallway for me, through the light of the Palladian window behind me here, would have been to educate my children and tend to a lot of domestic matters of which I was in charge as starting in 1798. Oh, here is a portrait of my dearest Eliza, Joseph Priestley's favorite grandchild. She would sit on his lap and he would teach her to read. They had a very, very close bond. She was even with him along with her brother on his deathbed in 1804 when we lost him. I nursed him until 1804. But this portrait that you see of Eliza, I never got to see her as an adult. It was done in 1824, and I passed away in 1816 after a brief illness upon returning to England. Why don't you come into my bedroom? Pardon me while I get more comfortable in my day room. This dress that you see me wearing is a Regency dress, and I'm so thankful for the light flowing material. I didn't have to wear the tight-fitting conservative dress of my mother-in-law, Mary. This is the room where I would have entertained guests, taught my children, relaxed. It was a woman's place. Men stayed downstairs, women stayed upstairs. I used this room for entertainment. When I would have ladies for tea, I would always place them in this chair so they could have a view of the beautiful Susquehanna River. That was a landscape view that I did not want anyone to miss, especially if they were coming to my home. Behind me here, you will see my desk, where I did lots of writing and correspondence. However, just like my mother-in-law Mary, I would have burned my letters afterwards since we were Unitarians and we were still under a lot of political strife and considered dissidents in our native country of England. I wouldn't have wanted to have any of my letters give any problems to my husband or my father-in-law. My children would have done a lot of studies here. For example, as you can see in this book, they're pressing flowers. Botany became a very popular subject to educate children with after Carl Linnaeus, a Swedish botanist, started plant classification. My children also would have learned how to sew, as well as this sampler here, if you notice. Girls would have learned how to make their letters and their symbols, and a lot of these would have been put into the linen, so our chemises and our undergarments would not have been confused with one another. My father was a wire drawer, and he would have been responsible for making pins such as these. We call them a paper of pins. If you notice this little pin cushion here with the name Welcome Little Stranger 1801, This was a very elaborate gift that would have been given to a woman after she's had a baby, and Lindsay, my third child and my second son, this was his little pillow. I had 5 children in all, 4 of which got to meet their dearest grandfather, Dr. Joseph Priestley, but my final daughter, Sarah, she was born after he was already passed. This is a fashion doll. My daughters would not have played with her, at least not yet. I would have received this from Paris or London or Philadelphia. These were very popular in my era to show the new fashions and the new clothes, and if I liked this, I could show it to my dressmaker, or I could make it myself. This is Joseph Jr. and my bed. We would have had curtains here for modesty or for warmth, but this bedspread, oh, it was the most fashionable of its day. The stripes were very, very popular. But the mattress required a little work. We had to stuff it with feathers, and every morning I had to refluff it to prepare for the evening. Oh, look at the time. This clock was from France, and it was here when I lived in this home. My descendants have taken such good care of it and have left it here for the museum, along with these Chippendale chairs. I am so grateful my home is still here, and I invite all of you to visit real soon.